Yo, what is going on YouTube? It's Derek with Raleigh Restorations. Today we're going to show you how to do simple little touch-up reglues in small spots. Instead of doing full reglues on the entire shoe like the video that we did before that you can check out here, we're going to show you how you can quickly and easily patch up little areas like this. Damn. So today we don't need too many things. We're going to need a little bit of acetone to clean up the old glue. We're going to use the barred super stick. Again, I'll go into detail in the other video here, but for this one, I'm going to imagine that you've already seen that video and checked that out. You know why we use this. We're going to need some masking tape, a couple X-Acto knives maybe to cut some lines or get some stuff cut in there. We'll see what it's like when we get in. And some Q-tips will definitely help. Another thing that will be helpful, but it's not mandatory, is a Dremel that I have in the back here. I'll go ahead and show you guys that when we get to that point. It just kind of helps cleaning up, especially if the gap is big enough like this, that we can get a Dremel down in there. Sometimes it's so minor you won't need a Dremel. You can just sand or just use acetone, but we'll get into that in a second. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and just grab our tape and we're gonna start taping along that line where the old glue is. So when we're taping up here, this does not need to be perfect. All we're trying to do is just create some insurance for ourselves so we don't damage the upper. In this case, it's white leather. I always just repaint it, but if you're using suede or nubuck or something, make sure you take your time here because you don't want the acetone to leak onto those parts. We want to just be working on the areas that we're trying to remove the glue from. So once we're done with that, it's going to look something like this, and we're just going to focus on the top. We're not worried about this rubber because this rubber won't get messed up with what we're about to do to get this prepped underneath. Now I'm just going to grab this acetone here, and I like to pour it into the cap so I can take these Q-tips and just dip them in as I need. And we're going to be using a good bit of this because we're going to start just pulling back on the shoe here to show the separation and scrubbing with this acetone to clean that up. We want to get the old glue off, in this case the upper, which is the leather area, as well as the rubber. In this case it's also the outsole, as you can see here. But make sure you're getting off of both parts that you're trying to attach because there's old glue on both, and trying to remove as much as possible because this is going to ensure that you get a good fit that's going to last a while when people start to wear it and it starts flexing and bending and stuff like that. So this next part here, we're going to go ahead and remove this tape because this is optional. I am going to grab my Dremel, as you will see here. I'm going to make my way over on this back wall onto my rack of goodies and grab the Dremel right here. And again, this is optional. So if you don't have a Dremel, you can just continue acetoning like we were before. But in this case, if you're following along, we're going to just Dremel along that line. Watch out for your stitching there. I feel like if you have a Dremel and you're trying this, or you've used one before, you understand the risk of a Dremel. So don't rip the stitching. Don't hit the uppers. You need to be really precise with this. Taping I don't really think helps because you're just going to tear up the tape. So I remove it so I can see what I'm doing better in this case. So now after we've cleaned up the glue in whatever method, whether it's acetone or a Dremel or both, we're going to go ahead and retape, except this time it's going to be a little more precise because we're going to be putting glue down. So you can see here I was pretty tight around that edge. So I can go ahead and grab my barred super stick here. And again, I'm using Q-tips because I like the small area that we're working in. It's a small end instead of a big brush. And same concept as when we were removing the glue with the acetone. We're going to put the glue basically in those seams and work it down as much as we can into those cracks. And we want to make sure we get it on this case, or in this case, it's the upper and the outsole, the white rubber outsole. But whatever you're working with, get it on both parts. Make sure they're fully covered. Don't apply too much because it's just going to ooze out and it's not going to attach well. Just a thin to medium layer on each part is all you need. And yeah, just make sure you get all the areas, you don't miss anything. You're pulling back as far as you can to really work that glue in. You really just kind of get one shot at this or else it turns into a mess trying to clean it up. So then after we've cleaned up everything, we can go ahead and just remove that tape. And we're going to let this cure for about 7 minutes here and just let this sit as is. After we've let that sit for about 7 to 8 minutes, I'm going to go ahead and put my hand inside the shoe like this and just press this together. We might need a little bit of heat from the heat gun back there if it's not adhering as well, but it does say about 7 to 8 minutes on the back, so this should be good to go, and we'll see. We'll just kind of press throughout here and we'll see how this sticks. Once that's done, you can always go back with the heat gun and add a little bit more heat once we've secured it, just to really make sure it's on there. But then we're gonna let this cure for at least 24 hours. But usually I wait about 12 hours if I can. And if I need to ship them back to the client the next day, I'll go ahead and ship them, as long as it's not summertime. And the summer can get very, very hot on those trucks, and that can undo some of the glue, especially in the areas that we've done or other portions that may be a little bit weaker. So there we go. Now this is fully adhered. I'll show you guys some close-ups and some other angles so you can see that, but it makes it pretty quick. It's pretty simple. It can be a little more difficult if there's suede or nubuck. Luckily, this was just on the front toe cap, which is pretty easy to work with. As you can see, this came out super clean. If you did find that helpful, I'd appreciate it if you like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. If you guys want to see other stuff, just let me know down below in the comments. But I do want to let you know, I know we've been lacking on the videos a little bit, but we're going to keep those going. I've been working on some really, really cool stuff for you guys that we're announcing on Monday. That's this upcoming Monday. If you check when the video drops, it's the upcoming Monday in early November. We got some cool stuff coming for you guys that want to anything from grow your business, learning more about sneakers and how we, kind of monetize this and turn your passion into a hobby and turn your art into a hobby that's wearable. Specifics on how to do stuff, properly, how to prep shoes, paint patent leather, the stuff that I can't cover in these videos or the stuff I don't go in detail enough about. We got some really cool options coming for you guys, so stay tuned for that. Again, like, comment, subscribe so you can keep up with us. Follow us on Instagram at Raleigh Restorations, and we'll catch you guys in the next video.
Oh, kitty! Yeah. Fucking with a package in the back and get the fucked off. When they sent the popo to my doorway, I was ducked off. Fucking up a plate of sushi, wonton with the duck sauce. Sit the back of doggy to me, walking fucking bucks off. Pick your phone up, I just touched down with the bow wow. Pick your phone up, I just touched down with the puppy cow. Cutting zones up, got a brick, I'm about to bust it down. Pick your phone up.